thought about just not shaving and coming back for like 2 weeks and be like just like a lumberjack. But like I've been in the woods throughout.
That's funny. I literally thought about doing the same thing this month. I'm not in the woods. I'm in a big city, and of course, growing a beard in the middle of July is maybe the dumbest plan of all time. But I thought about it. Laziness mostly.
Yeah,
anyway, you were away.
I was away. I was in the national parks. We were in happy locations.
Mm-hmm. You look great. Like I said earlier, your photos. If you're not following Brad on Instagram, do so.
Yeah, there's
good stuff.
Those were a lot of fun photos. Here's what's really interesting about this. So my wife has what is the current gen? iPhone 14?
Mm-hmm.
So she has a 14 Pro. I have a 13 Pro.
Yep.
And my photos frequently came out better than hers. I
sort of alluded to this. I literally showed my wife your photos multiple times while you were away. And I said I have this conversation with her every time I go to travel. I don't know what you're doing, but like for some reason your photos are just amazing. And I also have an iPhone 13 Pro,
mm-hmm.
and I have a Pixel that I'm using now, obviously, and those take great photos or whatever. But I just there's just something about them. They're crisp and clear, and they're not overblown color. They're like accurate color. They just look. I don't know how to explain it. It's great.
It was a really good trip. We only had one issue, not with the flights. Although
were you delayed at all leaving?
What's that?
Were you delayed at all?
No.
No. Okay.
Surprisingly, United's planes that we flew on have left a lot to be desired. First off, the plane we took from, and I'm not even joking, from Chicago to San Francisco did not have a TV in the back of the screen. They're like, just use your phone. Well, yeah, that didn't work all that well. And
see, that wouldn't bother me, but
not to mention their seats. They chose the Allegiant class seat from their planes. Like they were just not comfortable for a flight that was 4 hours and 45 minutes. It's like, put a pillow in there. So
I don't know I don't know much about planes. I actually looked this up at one point, and I can't remember why, but we were on a United 737 when we flew here, business class, by the way, first row. And my wife asked me, she's like, I'm not like a fidgety person, but I was like fidgeting all over the place. And it's because that seat was just uncomfortable. It was a beautiful seat, plenty of room. It was like a overly flat, like something like the stuffing has gone out of it or something. It was terrible, So anyway,
the only hiccup we had in our entire trip was with the rental car.
Ew.
You've probably seen it because
this is going to be the Seinfeld moment, is there? Like
it's exactly the Seinfeld moment. Like we walked up there, and so we used Hertz. I don't care. I'll trash them. And I learned this the hard way. Never, ever, ever prepay for a car, because if you go to Hertz website and you prepay for it, it was like $220 something cheaper than reserving it. I was like, okay, I like money. I'm going to pay that. So we get to the airport. Hertz place is a dumpster fire. We waited.
This is San Francisco.
Yeah, San Francisco. Long story short,
sorry to keep hijacking the story, but hasn't San Francisco's airport been upgraded dramatically?
Yeah, the airport was fine. It was just
that's right, because these things you have to shuttle over to this.
Yeah, you had to shuttle over to it. And so, really long story short, we waited 4 hours to get a car. And it's worse than that. And then at the 4 hour mark, they couldn't tell us when the car would actually be ready. So
what are you talking about? That's crazy.
So I was losing my mind. So I walked upstairs to Avis's desk, and there's a guy just sitting there. I'm like, hey, you guys got any cars? He's like, yeah, you want a Camry, a 4Runner, or whatever you want? I was like,
I want whatever.
I said, look, I'm going to tell you something. You walk downstairs right now, you're going to make a whole bunch of money because there's a whole bunch of people waiting for cars who can't get cars.
Exactly.
And the guy's like, huh. So long story short, whatever. We ended up getting a 4Runner for about $200 less than we were paying at Hertz. I ended up getting my money back from Hertz.
Okay.
And it ended up working out. But here's the greatest thing of all this. So, when you're in the fog of war with all these other people who are waiting for cars, like you bond with them. And so we found another couple. It was actually a father and a son. And they were doing the exact same trip as us. Now, we didn't like meet up in the parks or anything. We're like, oh, yeah, where are you staying? Blah, 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 blah. Fast forward to Friday night. I'm walking through my airport after I dropped the car off. And the guy goes, Hertz? And I was like, what do you...
Nice.
Father and son sitting there, same hotel, taking early flights out the same day, and then he's like, we ended up waiting longer. They got a van.
That happened to us in Ireland many years ago. We talked to some people on the plane on the way out. We're there for a week or whatever, and then the day you fly home, it was just it was like I think I forget the name. There's a castle near the airport. I can't remember what it was called, but just to kill some time because the flight was later, we just went over there and hung out and. We ran into those people. It's like, seriously, it was like, then we're doing the same thing. Like we had a couple hours to kill. It's fun when stuff like that happens.
Yeah. But after that, hotels, everything else went pretty much
obviously
perfect
your
weather.
Park experiences were amazing.
It's a little hot, but we were getting to the parks early.
I mean, it looked nice.
The flow rate, I guess you call it, at Yosemite was insane. Like the water could only be described as violent.
And this is the from all the rain they got, I would imagine, or the snow they got rather over the weekend. Over the winter.
Yeah.
Kind of running off. Yeah.
Like
the waterfall pitches were amazing.
Places that you could normally walk were just completely flooded. Every ranger person we walked in there, of course, they've all worked there for 20 years because it's Yosemite. They're like, we've never seen it like this. And we did the Mist Trail, which was awesome. But you hike up next to a waterfall, and the waterfall was on the steps. It was actually a little dicey for part of it.
Hope no one's wearing high heels.
Yeah.
But the Instagram people are there in their stupid shoes,
If anybody's going there this summer to see the intense water, only thing here's the other thing. So like when you read online, everyone's like, get there early, which we do anyways. Like we're morning people. They'll say, get there by 8:00. Well, what they mean by that is you better be parked by 8:00. But what most people leave out is that from the gate, when you go through to the parking lot, is a 45-minute drive. So it's not get to the gate at 8 a.m. It's get to the gate at 7 a.m. and then you're fine. And the shuttle systems were a complete dumpster fire, so don't count on those.
I haven't been to Yosemite or that part of the world in literally 35 years. I went there with the last trip I took with my family when I was, probably too old to be traveling with my parents, frankly, at that point. But you don't understand the scope of these parks. It's not like you're driving up to Disneyland or something. It's it is a little bit like that, I guess. But it's you have to get into it. Like it's not, you don't pull up to it and you're there. It's you're at the edge of it.
But that's not true for all parks. Like Zion, when you pull up to the gate at Zion, like you're pretty much there.
Yeah.
Same with Bryce, and a lot of other parks. Like it's not that far of a drive, but Death Valley, it's actually a decent drive, I guess, once you get the whatever.
Well, this is where research pays off,
Yeah. But anyways, it was minus the upfront issue with the car. We spent a little time in San Francisco on Friday. It was fun.
I enjoyed it virtually. It looked great.
So, and now we're back.
Must be fun. Back to is the heat over?
The heat's not care. The heat's not too bad actually right now. It's supposed to get warmer.
Brutal. When you were gone that week was high 80s every day. It was just brutal.
Yeah. Yep. Microsoft FTC has not been ruled on yet. That's kind of, I guess, a good thing because I was gone all last week, so we'll go with that. But will it happen today? We don't know. That's like the thing that I want to know, Paul. Is does Microsoft and Activision already know? Because remember, the judge said that she would hand them the ruling under seal, like a couple
so
days
they can prepare their responses
prior to
and so forth.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, is it?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's no way to know.
There's no way to. I mean, the only date we really know is the 18th, right? Which I believe she said she would try to rule. Like the ruling was supposed to be done before that, because that's the go no go date.
The cutoff date on their agreement timeline or whatever.
So hopefully it happens I'd love it to happen today, but who knows? Like
today would be ideal. Let's get it going. What else we got going on here?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is that the EU is like not happy with Microsoft over the Teams. So
that one is weird to me because so we're talking about the Slack complaint about Teams being bundled with Office, and a lot of discussion around what that even means. But Office is obviously a a suite. It's the Office suite. It's provided with most Microsoft 365 subscriptions. It's also something you can buy outright, right? You can just buy it.
Mm-hmm.
And Microsoft kind of came back and said, all right, we can make the version without Teams less expensive. And I believe the disagreement was how much less expensive. I think the EU was just like, yeah, it needs to be more or less expensive.
Mm-hmm.
Or however you say that, even less expensive. And Microsoft kind of said, no, this is as low as we can go. And they were like, all right, we're going to keep going then. I feel like this one could be, I don't know if settled is the right term, but they could reach an agreement. I don't think that the EU kind of moving into the formal phase of investigation, because they were talking, right? I mean, they were literally negotiating. I don't think that I think that Microsoft could at any point reach an agreement with the EU and put a stop to the formal complaint.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see. This one seems resolvable to me. I will say Microsoft has a much clearer domination of the office productivity market, or however you want to define that, than they do in video games. So
yeah, that is.
I mean, we all know cloud is kind of the biggest thing at Microsoft, but a lot of Microsoft 365 falls into that bit, and Microsoft 365 overall is the biggest business by far, and the second biggest business at Microsoft. So it's pretty big.
Yeah, we'll see what that one's probably the more interesting one to watch. I don't know. Well, they've got the Azure one too. Microsoft's got legal team is billing a lot of hours lately. Let's just.
This is Microsoft is the second biggest company in the world. I mean, they should be under regulatory scrutiny, right?
Yeah, it's going to be like one of those things. Like, look, we let you buy Activision. However, you're going to be paying the piper on this one.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine?
I don't know if it would be worth it for them to do that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Well, no, I shouldn't say that. Gaming is a huge business. If Microsoft could get this mobile thing going, they could turn it. No, I mean, it could be big.
Could be. I don't know. Not too much else happened last week other than, I don't know, like my biggest worry right now is that, dude, I was walking through all this stuff. I'm like, I am highly allergic to poison ivy. And I'm sitting here like walking through all this stuff. And like you're in the marsh because of all the water. I'm like, oh my God.
Please tell me you were wearing like knee-high socks, like some
I may have had some high socks
British
on.
explorer from the 1800s or something, like a pet
helmet. Hurt me like that. I did not have the hat though, like the little safari hat.
Yeah, exactly.
But oh, dude, I got to tell you, this is the best story.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not trying to anger an entire country, but I will. Because I have to name them.
Considering the proud tradition of this podcast, yes.
Yeah, so we go to the visitor center at Sequoia National Park. And the backstory is, well, I won't even tell you the backstory. So we're just in there, and we can hear a French couple talking to the lead ranger, like where you do reservations and stuff. And they said, we would like one camping reservation. Of course, their English isn't perfect. No fault to them. Whatever, it's English. They're French. That's fine. And the ranger says, for when? And they go, tonight and tomorrow night. And the ranger looks at them and right in the face and says, the only reservations I have are for 1 year from now.
Yep. How do you not know that?
I don't know. And they were like, what do you mean? We need to camp tonight. And the ranger's like, amazing. I'm like, these things book out a year in advance. And they looked at this person in the face and said, do you think we'd have any better luck at Yosemite? And the ranger goes, nope. I was like,
so you know me well enough to know that were I standing there, this is what I would have blurted out. Do they have the internet in France?
Yeah.
That would have been that would have been my, like, are you kidding me? That's amazing.
Like, you gotta, if you're going to a national park, you have to, and you want to stay in the park, it's a year out. Just like anybody listening.
How do you not do that? Like, how do you not know that?
I don't know. I mean, this is pretty common knowledge. Yeah, and not to mention, you can go on the website and look. Like, it's.
That's what I mean. Just do this isn't. This is so basic. It shouldn't even be called research. You just. That's crazy to me.
The only thing I can think of, but again, they didn't do research, is that like it's a national park. You can just camp wherever, but that is absolutely not the case at national parks. Like there's designated.
Just find some grass. It's fine.
Right, like you just pull over somewhere, you boondock. Like that is.
It's not Disney World. There are literally bears and animals, and it's just Jesus. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Oh well. Sorry, guys.
Maybe next year.